Chapter 256. Under Yihua's threatening gaze, Qingye kissed Yihua to comfort him. I like your way of apologizing, but I hope that we can have a bath together. Do you dare or not? However, he did not achieve his dream. After quite a while, Yihua was carried onto the bed by Qingye, and after pinching onto Yihua's cheeks, Qingye said sweetly, Yihua, when you have fully recovered, I will take a bath together with you. Alright, I don't want to be paralyzed anymore. No. This cunning Qingye is definitely trying to test me, how can I possibly fall for it? Besides, she was his wife. Would it kill him to look at her? After a long while, Qingye appeared in front of Yihua's eyes while wearing thin pajamas. Upon seeing Qingye, Yihua became very angry. Any normal man who saw Qingye's delicate body would definitely have some thoughts, especially the current Qingye, who was even more beautiful than before. In order to act as a paralyzed man, I, the Supreme Overlord, can't even move my hands now. In the past, even if I couldn't see my hands, I could still enjoy my hands. Lying on her beloved man's chest, Qingye said tenderly, Yihua, I like you so much. Yihua went into a slight daze, and at the same time, a feeling of guilt welled up within him. I don't know what will happen if I confess. Forget it. Leniency for confessing was a lie. Qingye, after you give birth to this child, let's have another one. Qingye rubbed against Yihua's chest and said lazily, I will listen to you. As expected of my woman, obedient. Although Yihua felt a little guilty, he felt that he was feeling very good right now. Thinking back to the past, he felt that he had never felt so good before. Qingye smiled sweetly, look at how complacent you are you satisfied now? Satisfied, satisfied. Alright, go to sleep. You're already tired today. Yihua nodded his head. I can finally have a good sleep today. Tomorrow, it will be Donghuang Baiji's turn to accompany me to sleep. I, the Supreme Overlord, am very happy about this. To express the joy in his heart. Forget it. I'll wait until I have two beauties in my arms, then I'll pardon the world. If Yihua were to grant amnesty to the entire world right now, Long Outyen would be the one who would feel the best. In the thatched cottage, Long Outyen was ready to set off again. In just a month, Long Outyen had managed to raise his dragon god technique to the 3rd stage. One could not help but admit that he was a genius. Nonsense. If Long Outyen didn't work harder on his cultivation, how would he be able to go to the city and make a name for himself? How would he have a harem of 3,000 beauties? Meng Meng. I don't know when we'll meet again after today, Long Outyen said as he hugged the woman in his arms. Meng Meng hugged Long Outyen's tiger body and said, Outyen, no matter how long it takes, Meng Meng will wait for you. Meng Meng, you are so nice. Can you prepare more antidote for me? Long Outyen's tone was a little awkward. This Meng Meng was too good to him. This love goo was the best among all goo. Ao Tian, these are all of Meng Meng's antidotes. When you come back 1 year later, at that time, there will be a lot of antidotes. Meng Meng was very reluctant to part with Ao Tian. A man's ambition was to travel far and wide, and her own 4 directions was only him. Long Outyen heaved a heavy sigh. Meng Meng, take good care of yourself. I'll bring you out after I make a name for myself. Yes, Meng Meng will wait for that day. Alright, I'm leaving. Outyen, looking at Long Outyen's departing figure, Meng Meng burst into tears. Walking out of the thatched cottage, Long Outyen clenched his fist. Right now, my dragon god technique has already reached the 3rd level. No matter if it is my speed or my strength, both of them have increased by a level. In the end, I still have to thank that assassin. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been able to reach the 3rd level in such a short amount of time. After walking for close to a kilometer, Long Outyen shouted loudly, "Come out! Right now, Long Outyin had already taken off his modern clothes and was wearing a cyan robe that Meng Meng personally made. Needless to say, Long Outyin was a little handsome. Death Assassin instantly appeared in front of Long Outyin like a specter, giving Long Outyin a fright. I am currently at the 3rd level of Dragon God technique. It's not that I, Long Outyin, am bragging, but you are no longer my opponent now. If you are tactful, hurry up and scram, I'll spare your life. Long Outyin began to brag, but in actuality, he was extremely nervous in his heart. GGG, Imperial Translation, Salted Fish, if you don't train your Dragon God technique to the pinnacle, don't even think about leaving this place. Not knowing what Death Assassin was laughing about, Long Outyin stood in a horse stance and shouted lightly. The leaves in the surrounding immediately flew up, and Long Outyin even pointed at Death Assassin and shouted loudly, "Come over." Death Assassin let out a light sigh, then pulled out a dagger from his waist and stabbed Long Outyin. Long Outyin's expression became grave. Death Assassin's speed is indeed fast. However, the present is different from the past. Long Outyin, am no longer that small fry from back then. His body flashed. Death Assassin was a little surprised. This Long Outyin's improvement speed is quite fast. Long Outyin was a little dazed as he touched onto his hair, then inspected his clothes. I remember that my hair was cut off by Death Assassin last time, but today, I am actually not injured at all. This is great. I, Long Outyin, have finally dodged his attack. When I reach the 4th level, I will be able to defeat him. Without thinking too much, Long Outyin turned around and ran. Just you wait, Long Outyin, we'll still be back. Death Assassin did not chase after Long Outyin and looked at Long Outyin running frantically. After running to the front of the thatched cottage, Long Outyin gasped for breath. When he was dodging Death Assassin's attack just now, he had used too much of his essence, chi, and spirit, causing him to be unable to breathe. Pushing open the wooden door, Long Outyin laughed loudly and said, "Meng Meng, I'm not leaving anymore. Outyin, I have already made the noodles for you, quickly eat it while it's hot." Meng Meng could be seen walking over while holding on to the noodles that were just made. The timing was just right. Not knowing if it was because of warmth or because of heartache, Long Outyin had the urge to cry. If not for the matter that happened earlier, Long Outyin would have suspected that Meng Meng was the one who arranged the assassin. While eating the love noodles, Long Outyin's tears flowed down, not knowing if it was because he was moved or because of heartache. After eating the noodles, I will properly love Meng Meng and continue training. I, Long Outyin, must live up to my name. In the future, I will definitely conquer the entire world and make everyone tremble under my feet. I will also make Qinya regret that she did not choose me, Long Outyin, and chose a man who likes to smoke and act cool. His way of acting cool is too low level. Long Outyin will never imitate him in my entire life. Meng Meng, where did my cigarette go? Here, you can only smoke 1 cigarette per day. After lighting up the cigarette, Long Outyin felt very comfortable, as if the entire world was his. Right now, it was already late at night, and in a dark alley in Long and City, there were a few figures. Among them, 2 were the delicate and charming Qin Yutong and Yizizi. Qin Yutong was disguised as a big sister again. After all, her current status had not expired yet. Yizizi was still dressed in lowly attire, and Yizizi really wanted to grab onto the ponytail at the back of her head and ride it ferociously. Chapter 257. Yizizi's saliva flowed out from her mouth. Tell big sister Qing to leave for a while, I am going to eat. The few robust men had never seen this beautiful woman before, and this little lowly, she is simply like a big sister from the anime. Those big eyes of hers caused us to become beastly. Little sister, big brother has lollipops here, they are very tasty. The robust man slightly bent his waist and teased Yizizi, and the few robust men behind him laughed out loud. Qin Yutong protected Yizizi behind her, What are you guys trying to do? If you have something to say, then come at me. Big Beauty, don't be anxious, I will let you know how powerful Big Brother's battle strength is, how deep my martial arts are, and I am also proficient in 108 rare finishing moves. The robust man walked closer step by step with a lascivious smile on his face. Qing Yutong scolded in a low voice, "A shameless villain. My teeth are very white." Yi Zizi said in a low voice, "Big Sister Qing, how about you leave for a while and let Zizi play?" "Zizi, you are too disloyal." Hey, the two of you don't need to discuss anymore. Come at me together." The robust man poked his hands together. He was already a little impatient. This pair of big and small beauties can fight until dawn. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi continuously retreated. That fearful expression made the robust man even more excited. They liked to see this kind of expression on other people. Right at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi looked at that figure. The figure had a cigarette in his mouth, a calm expression, and both of his hands were in his pockets. The man could be seen glancing at them, then continuing to walk. "Brat, consider yourself mistaken." The robust man thought that a hero came to save the beauty, but in the end, he did not have the guts to pretend to be a passerby. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi had never seen a man who could act cool like this before. He is simply invincible. "Hey, why didn't you save us?" Qing Yutong was puzzled, and shouted out. The man blew out a mouthful of smoke towards the sky. "Why should I save you guys? Damn, this man is truly arrogant." Seeing that the man stopped walking, the robust man shouted out threateningly, "Brat, quickly scram, don't disturb Grandpa's happy occasion." Yi Zizi asked pitifully, "Big Brother, why didn't you save us?" The man snorted and said disdainfully, "It's kind of me to help you call the police when I see this kind of thing. It's normal for me to walk over. After all, I'm not the Virgin Mary. I don't save anyone I see. Big Brother, you won't have a girlfriend in the future if you act like this." Yi Zizi pouted. "She was going to suck you dry later." "Who asked you to act like a pretentious prick?" Qing Yutong also agreed, "That's right, he didn't even want the chance to be a hero and save the beauty. Do you think I'm stupid? Just by looking at your clothes, I know you're some rich young ladies. If I save you now, you'll probably ask me to be your bodyguard, and then a touching love story will happen. I won't fall for it." The expressions of Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi froze, and the few muscular men were also shocked. "We have never seen someone who is so good at bragging before. TSK. How dare you molest a young girl in broad daylight? I'm going to take care of this matter." A man descended from the sky like the wind, especially that stalwart figure. "Wow, Big Sister Qing, he's so handsome." "Yeah, so handsome." Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi were like two infatuated girls, and they had an intoxicated look on their faces. This caused the man with the cigarette to be stupefied. "You two became infatuated just because of this. This trick is too old, isn't it? This is a trick from a few years ago." Song Ji slowly turned his head around and looked towards the man with the cigarette, as if he was saying, "Although it's old, it's still a classic, you idiot." Sabai seemed to have understood, and he slowly walked over and said gravely, "Brother, this is my place, don't interfere." "Hee, weren't you acting cool just now? If you want to leave, leave quickly." Song Ji ruthlessly struck down on Sabai. This caused Sabai to be very depressed. Originally, he wanted to take a different route, but in the end, someone interfered halfway. The muscular men came back to their senses and shouted angrily, "You two little rabbits are tired of living. Brothers, attack! Kill them all!" Song Ji snorted coldly, "Kneel down." A formless power pressed the muscular men onto the ground. The few muscular men immediately revealed a frightened look. Sabai snorted coldly, "Kneel down." Plop. The muscular men all kneeled down. "Kneel down." Call me Grandpa. Song Ji shouted gravely. If you want to compete, then come. As expected, the muscular men kneeled down again and shouted out loudly, Grandpa, Grandpa. Sabai was disdainful. Let's compete then. Kneel down and bark like a dog. The muscular men could be seen kneeling down again. Woof, 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 kneel down. Call me Grandpa. Kneel down. Bark like a dog. Kneel down. Call me Grandpa. Kneel down. Bark like a dog. Who could understand the bitterness in the muscular men's hearts? Gradually, blood flowed out from the corner of their mouths. Under such huge pressure, how could ordinary people continue to endure it? Pfft. The few muscular men spurted out blood one after another and died with their eyes wide open. Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi let out a long "oh," you two played him to death. Song Ji and Sabai didn't expect that the other party would die just like that, and they were slightly startled. Big Sister Qin, let's quickly call the police, a murder case happened here. Yi Zizi hurriedly shouted. That's right, facing this kind of evil thing, we have to resolutely stop it, and I also have to be a witness. Chapter 258. Yi Zizi's pair of scarlet eyes were about to pop out. Originally, I only came out to do some bad things for fun, but I actually met with so many twists and turns, and even the 7 great sins have appeared. This monster is actually exactly the same as the gluttonous monster, so exciting, so fun, so exciting. After that, the middle-aged man looked towards Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi with cold eyes. Ha! Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi clenched their small fists and pointed towards the middle-aged man, seemingly wanting to fight against this gluttony head-on. 1 second later. While holding hands, the two turned around and ran, and while running, they shouted, "We can't win, we can't win." Yi Zizi was actually very excited. She was wondering who was more powerful between gluttony and Wei Chang. I'm really looking forward to it. I wonder if they have his honor or not. If I tell his honor about this matter, his honor will definitely be very excited. Zizi, why did you run away? That person seems to be very powerful. Qin Yutong asked curiously. This was not Yi Zizi's personality. Right now, Qin Yutong still didn't know which organization her brother-in-law was from, which was why she was puzzled. Sister Qin, I am also one of the 7 deadly sins. Yi Zizi pointed at herself and smiled. Ah! Qin Yutong cried out in surprise. Then, she thought for a moment and her mouth formed an O shape. Then, brother-in-law is also one of the 7 deadly sins. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Big cousin is not one of the 7 deadly sins. He is the source of the 7 deadly sins. This caused Qin Yutong to be stupefied. I never would have thought that brother-in-law would be so formidable. Then, Zizi, what is your zodiac sign? I'm awesome. Zizi, are you lazy? Qin Yutong guessed. Yi Zizi's small face collapsed. Is it that obvious? Ah. Qin Yutong had never seen someone who was lazier than Qin Yutong. Who is that Lai Gu? Qin Yutong continued to ask. Yi Zizi placed both of her hands behind her head and laughed tenderly. Lai Gu, a lecherous bone dragon. OF*CK, what about Uncle Wei? Qin Yutong asked. You're talking about gluttonous monsters. He's gluttonous. He eats more than me. Yi Zizi let out a deep sigh. The gluttonous monster wouldn't even let the dead go. At least she was only sucking the living. Qin Yutong felt that something was definitely wrong, and she hurriedly asked, then, who was that person just now? That's why it's fun. Someone is using big cousin's name to swindle people. It feels so exciting and fun. Qin Yutong's eyes lit up. No wonder he pulled me and ran away just now, so it turns out that he has some wicked ideas again. Seeing the two women running away, the middle-aged man was about to chase after them when a voice rang out in his ears. Gluttony! Come quickly! The middle-aged man paused for a moment before stepping into the black vortex again. 7 people stood on top of a valley in the southeast. Suddenly, a black whirlpool appeared, and the middle-aged man from earlier walked out of the whirlpool and shouted out to a tall and big man, "Your Honor." At first glance, it was a shocking sight. This person was wearing a strange robe that was inlaid with all kinds of patterns, and under the robe was a skeleton. Red dots flashed in his eye sockets, and there was a fist-sized red glow on his chest. He crossed his hands inside his robe and stared at the building below. "Why are you late?" His Honor's words carried an ice-cold aura, seemingly without a trace of emotion. "Your Honor, please forgive me." Gluttony knelt in midair and lowered that proud head of his. His Honor said faintly, "If there is a next time, I will definitely punish you." "Thank you, Your Honor." After finished speaking, Gluttony stood back into the group. All of the 7 deadly sins looked very strange. Among them, there was a little lowly that looked exactly like Yizizi, and there was also a refined man who was wearing glasses. "Greed, who are those people below?" His Honor asked gravely. The refined man who was wearing glasses could be seen walking out slowly and replied respectfully, "Your Honor, those people below are one of the powers in the south, Dry Zen sect." "Let's start from them then." His Honor said calmly. The 7 people behind His Honor replied respectfully, "Yes." Late at night, Dry Zen sect was very quiet, and only the patrolling disciples were walking within the sect. However, those disciples weren't very vigilant, and they were yawning continuously, to the point where they didn't even notice that 7 figures had appeared not far away from them. Cough, cough, cough. Greed coughed lightly and rubbed his eyes. At this moment, only then did the patrolling disciples react and cried out in surprise, "Who are you all?" "We are here to save you all," Greed said lightly. When this strange melody entered their ears, the expressions of the disciples gradually loosened up. "Thank you, Lord, for saving our lives. Go on, kill your companions," Greed said faintly. "Yes, Lord." The disciples appeared to be very normal, and very quickly, screams of pain rang out within the quiet Dry Zen sect. Every single one of the 7 deadly sins had an infatuated look on their faces, as if they were listening to the most beautiful melody in the world. The 7 of them instantly split up and began a one-sided massacre. As His Honor, he slowly descended into the sect, stepped onto the blood, and enjoyed the screams of pain coming from the humans. 5 minutes later, Dry Zen sect quieted down, and Gluttony could be seen carrying a person in his hand. The person was precisely Dry Zen sect's sect master, Che Zhishuan. Right now, Che Zhishuan's face was pale white, both of his arms were torn off, and blood was flowing non-stop. Raising his head and looking at the person in front of him, a trace of astonishment flashed past Che Zhishuan's eyes. The person in front of him is actually a skeleton. "Who are you? Why did you exterminate my sect?" Che Zhishuan asked weakly. His Honor stretched out his skeletal hand and tapped onto Che Zhishuan's forehead, then said faintly, "I merely like to kill people." Following that, Che Zhishuan's body turned into ashes and blended into the air. "Your Honor, when are we going to look for the next one?" The little lowly bounced around and asked. His Honor stared at the night sky and said faintly, "The people in this world are too weak, let's just wait here." "Yes, Your Honor." The 7 of them shouted out in unison. That night, South Dry Zen sect was exterminated. However, a lot of people were killed in their dreams, and the methods used were extremely cruel. When the sun rose, Dry Zen sect looked brand new, just that, the sect lacked the aura of human, and the aura of death was present. Meanwhile, on the 2nd floor of Leisure Bar, Yihua said to Qinya, who had just woken up, "I want to take a bath." Yihua, Qingye called out sweetly, acting coquettishly. Yihua laughed lightly, I will let you off this morning. That's more like it. After finished speaking, Qingye leaned over and gave Yihua a kiss that would cause others to be envious of her. This made Yihua's scalp go numb. What do you want to eat? Qingye tidied up Yihua's hair and asked tenderly. I want to eat the xiaolongbao from that restaurant in the west of the city. Yihua thought for a bit. I haven't eaten xiaolongbao for a long time, I am already tired of eating jinbing. Qingye nodded her head, let's all eat xiaolongbao today then. Remember to buy some kelp soup, and ask for more, that restaurant's boss is very stingy. Yihua instructed. Qingye laughed helplessly. The more she interacts with Yihua, the more she feels that Yihua is adorable. Go to school obediently, and do not cause any trouble. Your Honor, Zizi is not talking about this matter. Then what is it? Zizi told Yihua about what happened last night. Yihua slightly wrinkled his brows. There is actually such a thing. Someone is impersonating Wei Chang. No, not impersonating, rather, it is very similar. This is a bit interesting. Seeing that Yihua wrinkled his brows, Qingye asked with concern, Yihua, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? I'm fine, I just feel like taking a bath. Right now, Qingye and Donghuang Baizhi still did not know that Yihua's intention was to take advantage of them. Your Honor, how about handing this matter over to Zizi to investigate? Zizi help Your Honor get rid of them. Yihua pondered for a moment, no need, I want to see what he wants to do. You continue to go to school obediently, and without my order, you are not allowed to act on your own. Your Honor, be obedient. Zizi could only resign to her fate. If I knew that this would happen, I would have sucked that knockoff's food yesterday night. Baizhi, push me to take a bath. Yihua said faintly. Donghuang Baizhi stood up, then with a red face, pushed Yihua into the bedroom. As for Qingye, she can rest today, and the two of them will take turns to take care of Yihua. Just like Qingye, Donghuang Baizhi carried Yihua into the bathtub, and her face looked as if it was about to drip blood. Baizhi, this isn't like you. When you just came to school, you even tried to make a move on me. Yihua began laying the foundation for himself again. It would be a waste if I don't go and write a novel. Donghuang Baizhi wiped Yihua's body, and when she saw that familiar thing, her face became even redder. I didn't do it on purpose. Chapter 260. Donghuang Baizhi said in a low voice, I was wrong, all right. Seeing that you have a good attitude, I'll forgive you. After pausing for a moment, Yihua pretended to sniff the air and his brows wrinkled. What's wrong? Donghuang Baizhi asked curiously. Baizhi, don't you smell something strange? No. Yihua said, give me your hand. Donghuang Baizhi stretched out her lotus-like jade-like arm towards Yihua, and Yihua immediately said, it stinks. Coincidentally, there's water here. Come and take a bath. Donghuang Baizhi wasn't a fool, she was the empress. How could she not know what Yihua was thinking about? And of course, she wouldn't expose Yihua. I'll help you wash, I'll wash myself. These two women must have discussed their relationship beforehand. They can't even take a bath together. Too petty. I have already let you all see my naked body, why can't you all let me have a look? Listen to me, come in and wash up. With a red face, Donghuang Baizhi said, when you recover, I'll accompany you to bathe. Maldiv ***, it seems like my injuries are going to heal in advance. Yihua's goal ended in failure, and soon after, he was carried onto the bed by Donghuang Baizhi. At this moment, Qingye slowly walked in. Baizhi, did Yihua say that your body is stinky? Yihua took a glare at Qingye. What are you doing, what are you doing? It has only been one day, and you are already rebelling. That's right, Qingya, how did you know? Could it be that Yihua, Qingya laughed, Baiji, he is just trying to trick us into bathing together. Sometimes, I even suspect that he is pretending to be sick. I also have my suspicions. Donghuang Baiji nodded her head as she attentively observed Yihua. F*ck, it's only the second day and I'm already exposed. It wasn't good for a woman to be too smart. No, I, the Supreme Overlord, am also a vegetarian. For the sake of the two of you, I am about to die, and you still dare to say that I am pretending? Qingya, Baiji, the two of you are great. Yihua said gravely, and that tone of his was filled with resentment towards life. Sure enough, right after Yihua said those words, the two goddesses hurriedly consoled him, coaxed him in all sorts of ways, and even kissed him as an apology. Only then did Yihua finally calm down. Although it wasn't like the night before, the current situation was more or less the same. It felt so good. Qingya seemed to have thought of a bad idea and said to Donghuang Baiji, who was at the side, Baiji, do you still remember how Yihua bullied us in the past? Yihua, who was lying on the bed, immediately felt that something was wrong. This Qingya is starting to be mischievous again. And he spanked our butts, and my butts were even swollen by him. Thinking back to what happened that day, Donghuang Baiji's hands immediately became itchy. Yihua immediately shouted out gravely, "What are you two trying to do? I risked my life to save you. Those people took on all of our responsibilities, and they even let out a message saying that they welcome everyone to take revenge on us." Yihua's brows became even deeper as he thought. Yihua's brows became deeper. Yihua's expression caused Qingya and Donghuang Baiji to feel a bit scared. Yihua, we are sorry, we only wanted to make you happy. Donghuang Baiji hurriedly apologized. Qingya pouted her little mouth and acted cute, saying, I don't care what you do, please don't be angry. It's useless, I am angry. I didn't expect that there would be such an effect. Although that was what Yihua said, he still asked, Wei Chang, are there any unusual movements in the north and south? Because of today's matter, they stopped their actions. It seems like all of them are targeting this group of unknown powers. Donghuang Baiji went into a slight daze. After receiving the jade slip that Yuan to send over, and looking at the information on the jade slip, Donghuang Baiji's expression became very grave. This group of people really ruined all of my plans. This made me very unhappy. Go and scout out the situation first. Wait for my order, and be prepared to exterminate them at any moment. Yes. After cutting off the connection with Wei Chang, Yihua began to teach the two lawless women a lesson. You two are truly too arrogant, even my buttocks are red from being slapped by you two. Do you two know your wrongs now? Yihua said gravely. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji nodded their heads, looking like a little wife that had been wronged. Looking at their current state, Yihua couldn't bear to teach them a lesson. Baiji, what's wrong? Seeing that Donghuang Baiji was acting strangely, Yihua asked. Right now, Donghuang Baiji wouldn't hide anything from her man anymore. She said tenderly, just now, news came from Voidless Realm. Dry Zen sect in the south was exterminated, and not only did the culprit not leave, the culprit stayed behind. The culprit even admitted to a lot of atrocities, especially the 3 northern powers that disappeared. Chapter 261. Thinking about it, it's good for those people to admit to it. I can just push the blame to them. Wouldn't this be indirectly helping me? This is a bit interesting. Baiji, what are you all planning to do? Qingya asked curiously. Donghuang Baiji shook her head. These are all decided by the aristocratic families and families. If there is no other way, the 3 big powers will only take action. However, this is the matter of the south, and the pressure will be greater. Even if the people from the north are going to take action, they are going to take revenge. Dong Huang Baiji added. Qingye was a bit worried. To be able to exterminate an entire sect in a single night, I reckon that those people should be very powerful. And, at the very least, they have reached the level of aristocratic families. Dong Huang Baiji agreed. However, they were thinking too lightly. Those people had already surpassed the strength of big powers, and the time they took to exterminate an entire sect was less than 5 minutes. Don't talk while sitting, talk while lying down. Yi Hua said faintly. Although I can't talk at night, I should be able to lie down during the day, right? Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji shyly rolled their eyes at Yi Hua, then lightly lied down and leaned on Yi Hua's side. Half of my wish has finally been fulfilled. I still need to work harder. I heard that if a family wants to become an aristocratic family, they need your approval. Yi Hua asked curiously. Dong Huang Baiji nodded her head. That's right. If a family wants to become an aristocratic family, they must first meet the requirement of possessing an ancient godly item. After that, after going through the examination of the aristocratic families, my voidless realm will evaluate the family's strength and financial strength. I didn't expect Baiji's authority to be so big. Yi Hua laughed lightly. Dong Huang Baiji's face turned red. No matter how much authority I have, I will still be bullied by you. Then, are there any families that are going to become aristocratic families recently? Yi Hua was trying to get information from his wife. Originally, Shao family was the one that was going to become an aristocratic family, but by family obtained an ancient godly item. Therefore, right now, Shao family and Bai family are fighting for a spot. Dong Huang Baiji didn't seem to take it to heart. After all, aristocratic families are merely families that possess ancient godly items, and there is nothing to fear. Compared to Voidless Realm, aristocratic families are still lacking a lot. Even if Voidless Realm's vitality is greatly damaged, aristocratic families still aren't comparable to them. Meanwhile, Dong Huang Baiji wanted to see which aristocratic families are going to take action. One shouldn't think that Dong Huang Baiji was a good empress. Her good side was only displayed in front of Yi Hua. What do you think of the two families? Yi Hua asked. Dong Huangli tilted her head and pondered for a moment, then said happily, "Ali knows, the princess doesn't like dwarves, she likes tall, rich, and handsome men." Ha! Yi Hua laughed heartily. Qingye hugged onto Dong Huangli and said tenderly, "Don't listen to your daddy." But Ali doesn't like the 7 dwarves either. This time, Yi Hua laughed heartily, and even Dong Huang Baiji laughed helplessly. Dong Huangli could be seen lying on her father's body and listening to her father's heartbeat, then said sweetly, "Ali doesn't like tall, rich, and handsome men either, Ali only likes daddy. As expected of my daughter, she is deeply favored by me." Dong Huang Baiji was very jealous. Why doesn't she like mommy? She is too biased. Ali likes mommy too, Dong Huangli added another sentence. This caused Dong Huang Baiji's heart to feel at ease. Qingye rubbed onto her belly. In a few months' time, my child is going to be born, and I am a bit nervous right now. Far away, at Zijin City, Bai family. Bai Zixin and Wang Debao were currently tasting top-quality Thai guanyin. Suddenly, an envelope was sent over. Wang Debao stretched out his hand, pinched the envelope, then passed it to his wife with a smile on his face. Bai Zixin placed down the teacup in her hand, then opened the envelope and looked at the latest information. After finished reading, the paper in her hand started burning. "Wife, what's the situation?" Wang Debao asked curiously while looking at his wife's grave expression. Bai Zixin let out a breath, then said faintly, "Yesterday, Ying family and Voidless Realm started fighting." "Ah. You are saying that 2 of the 3 big powers started fighting?" Wang Debao cried out in surprise. "This is a big matter." Bai Zixin nodded her head. How is the situation? Wang Debao asked hurriedly. Not sure. It wasn't easy for Bai Cixin to be able to obtain this kind of information. The losses that the two big powers suffered from the battle were definitely not small. I wonder if the aristocratic families in the north have taken any action. Chapter 262. Are these aristocratic families really not tempted? Right now, Voidless Realm's vitality is definitely greatly damaged, and if all of them were to attack Voidless Realm at the same time, Voidless Realm's strength would definitely be greatly damaged. Wang Debao said confusedly. This kind of opportunity is extremely rare. Debao, you're still underestimating the giants. 1,000-year foundation can't be messed around. The aristocratic families are also afraid. A skinny camel is still bigger than a horse. My dear wife is so smart. As he spoke, Wang Debao began to flatter her again. Bai Cixin chuckled. Perhaps the appearance of this unknown force is a good thing. Let's just wait and see. Honey, aren't you worried about the promotion to an aristocratic family? Debao, we will definitely enter the ranks of the aristocratic families. No matter what, we will suppress the Shao family. At this moment, Bai Cixin appeared to be very confident. The Shao family's strength had been greatly damaged, and the wealthy merchants had left. They had long since fallen short of the requirements of an aristocratic family. Hearing his wife say so, Wang Debao was completely relieved. He suddenly hugged Bai Cixin and said, "We should celebrate in advance. How's the snail seizing kung fu going?" "Don't worry, my wife. I don't even need to use my hands now. I guarantee that my wife will be satisfied." That's more like it. The Bai family was celebrating in advance, but the Tang family wasn't as happy. Right now, Tang Wushuang was lying on the big bed. His eyes were lifeless, and beside him were all his wives. However, right now, Tang Wushuang could only look at them, and was unable to touch them in the slightest. Because he had already been uprooted. This was not only a blow to Tang clan, it was also a blow to Tang Wushuang himself. The wives were even more worried. Now that they didn't even have a child, the man was already killed. What was the difference between this and killing them? Quan Anrong comforted him carefully. "Wushuang, technology is so advanced now, we can also do test tube babies." "Yes, Wushuang, don't be sad." Mu Jia also hurriedly comforted him. However, this kind of consolation didn't make Tang Wushuang feel any better. Instead, it made him even angrier, as if it was reminding him that he couldn't have sex with others. "Shao Yi. Shao Yi. I'm going to kill you." Tang Wushuang, who was on the bed, suddenly went crazy, and his entire face became distorted. However, when Tang Wushuang moved, his wounds were affected, and the pain caused Tang Wushuang to roll his eyes. How could the wives restrain their husbands? There was nothing they could do. "All of you can leave." Gue Qingren slowly walked in while wearing flip-flops. The girls nodded and quietly left the bedroom. "Master, you must definitely take revenge for disciple. It is all because of that Shao Yi that I became like this." Tang Wushuang lied on the bed, and his hands tightly grabbed onto the corner of Gue Qingren's clothes. Gue Qingren silently took out an Alps candy and put it in his mouth. It felt pretty good. "Master has told you before, don't underestimate the enemy, especially the enemy with a good brain. You only have yourself to blame for this." Gue Qingren sat on the chair next to him and turned on his phone to read a novel. Tang Wushuang tightly clenched his fist, and after a long time, he said, "Master, as long as you help me kill Shao Yi, I will do anything you want me to do. Only by taking revenge yourself will it feel good. I don't want to deal with a small character like Shao Yi." "Teacher," Tang Wushuang bitterly begged. "Master has a set of cultivation technique that is very suitable for you. With your current physique, cultivating it will yield twice the results with half the effort. Gue Qingren said faintly. Tang Wushuang's eyes flickered with hope, and without thinking too much, he said, I'll learn. This set of cultivation technique is very special. It is about the same as the Sunflower Treasured Book. If you wish to cultivate this technique, you must first castrate yourself. Gue Qingren paused for a moment and continued, you have already fulfilled this prerequisite, but this cultivation technique is even more ferocious than the Sunflower Treasured Book. Its name is erotic. Tang Wushuang was a little frightened, but when he thought of Xiao Yi, his brain couldn't think normally. Master, I'll cultivate it. Are you sure? Once you cultivate this cultivation technique, your physique and temperament will completely change. Your chest will become bigger, your vocal cords will become more delicate, and your personality will also be the same. You will become a real woman, and your womb will gradually form, and you will even be able to give birth to children. However, your strength will be a few times stronger than now. Even if Xiao Yi has the Xianyuan sword, he won't be a match for you. Become a woman. Struggle flashed past Tang Wushuang's eyes. Right now, I am neither a human nor a demon. So what if I become a woman? As long as I kill Xiao Yi and exterminate the entire Xiao clan, I will be comfortable. Master, I am sure. Good, as expected of my disciple, you are very courageous. However, don't you want to discuss this matter with the women first? There's no need to discuss. I can decide on my own. Not bad, now that you know your own decision, Master is gratified. Rest first today, Master will come and teach you tomorrow. Thank you, Master. Gue Qingren walked out of the room and arrived at a secret room. The inside was pitch black, and there was only a computer emitting a faint light. In front of the computer, there seemed to be a figure of a person. This person's legs were all chopped off, and his body was soaked in a medicinal vat, and it looked very terrifying. Gue Qingren walked over and took a look. No wonder he stopped updating, he actually bit his tongue to commit suicide. What a pity, looks like I have to find another author to be my gunner. This book is too good. Shao Residence. Today, Shao Residence was full of vitality. The servants of the residence were moving back and forth in Shao Residence, as if Shao Residence was holding a banquet. That's right, today was considered as a family banquet, and it was also to celebrate Shao clan's rebirth after the calamity. Xiao Yi's injuries had already healed, and even he himself felt that it was unimaginable. But no matter what, it was a good thing. Looking at his wives, Xiao Yi revealed a rare smile. If only Cindy was still here. But it doesn't matter, I will definitely have a way to revive her. Xiao Yi raised his wine cup and said with a smile, come, let's have a toast. The wives stood up with a gentle smile, and as Xiao Yi's son, Xiao Yun also raised his cup of fruit juice. Big brother Xiao, you have just recovered from a serious illness, drink less. Yu Qi raised her big belly and warned softly. Shu Nan smiled, little sister Yu Qi, don't worry, big brother Zhao's injuries have already healed. Under the happy atmosphere, everyone drank this cup of wine. Following that, everyone chatted about a relaxed topic, as if they had returned to the past. Xiao Yi himself also seemed relaxed. But Shu Nan was panicking. Shu Nan, what's wrong? Xiao Yi asked softly. Shu Nan said in a low voice, Big brother Xiao, I feel that things are not over yet. What's wrong? Xiao Yi's expression sank slightly as he asked softly. That black shadow healed you, I feel that he has a purpose. Shu Nan said in a deep voice. Xiao Yi nodded, he understood this point, but what purpose? Shu Nan continued, but I feel that big brother Xiao did not achieve his purpose this time. Just as Shu Nan finished speaking, a black whirlpool appeared in the hole. The women were startled and hurriedly dodged away from the black whirlpool. Yu Qi hurriedly protected Xiao Yun. Death Mage could be seen slowly walking out from the black whirlpool. This time, Death Mage did not bring Sun Fang along. After all, he came to inform Xiao Yun that his honor had given him new instructions. Chapter 263. Xiao Yi was still looking at Death Mage with vigilance. But today was different from the past. Back then, Xiao Yi was facing death and had no choice but to beg. But now that he was alive, as an immortal emperor, how could he casually kneel? Shu Nan, on the other hand, was much smarter. The lives of her family were in the hands of others. When it was time to bow down, she had to do so. Brother Xiao. Shu Nan tugged at her husband. Xiao Yi frowned. He was fighting with his dignity. Death Mage didn't say anything and just stood there, seemingly waiting for Xiao Yi to make his own decision. Deciding the life and death of an entire family. Because Yi Hua added an additional condition. His honor has given the order. If Xiao Yi doesn't respect his honor, then there is no need to inform his honor. Exterminate Xiao family. Xiao Yi didn't know that his actions were related to the lives of his wife and son. Dignity or life, which was more important? Xiao Yi had to make a decision. Brother Xiao. Shu Nan called out again. A woman's sixth sense told her that if her man was disrespectful, the consequences would be unimaginable. After a long time, Xiao Yi sighed and lowered his noble head. The immortal emperor who had been reborn slowly knelt in front of Death Mage. Seeing this, Shu Nan let out a sigh of relief, then immediately knelt down as well. The wives behind him did not know what was going on, but they were not stupid and also knelt down. Even his youngest son, Xiao Yun, also knelt down out of curiosity. Death Mage was a bit disappointed. However, thinking about it, it was normal. Under his honor's great radiance, everyone had no choice but to submit to him. He took out his phone and started typing. The Xiao clan waited quietly. His phone rang with a voice message. Xiao Yi. Master has ordered all of you to give up the aristocratic family election and wait for the next order. Yes, Xiao Yi said with difficulty. To think that there would be a day where yours truly would have to kneel in front of someone else. What a great irony. Ding dong. Death Mage's WeChat rang out. Everyone from the Xiao clan was shocked. Taking a look at his WeChat, Death Mage opened up his voice chat, and Sun Fang's scolding could be heard from the voice chat. You damned fellow, why aren't you back yet? Do you still want to accompany me to sleep? Everyone in the Xiao clan was silent. Death Mage immediately closed the door. When I return, I will properly teach this ugly woman a lesson. She has thrown away my face. Looking at the people from the Xiao family, Death Mage felt a bit awkward as he walked into the black whirlpool. After Death Mage left, Xiao Yi and the others let out a sigh of relief and slowly stood up. Brother Xiao, what is going on? Yu Qi asked hurriedly. The other women were also very confused. Xiao Yi sat down and drank while Shu Nan explained the situation to everyone. It turned out that in order to save the Xiao family, their man did not hesitate to exchange his life for it. The wives were moved to the point of being in a mess. Brother Xiao, it seems like that black shadow man is setting up a game of chess. Shu Nan was very worried. Now that the Xiao family was involved, they could not get away with it. Xiao Yi put down the glass and lightly said, I've thought it through. As long as I can keep you safe, I'll do anything. Xiao Yi had indeed thought it through. Only by hugging onto a powerful thigh would he have a chance to survive. In the bedroom on the second floor of the bar. While chatting with Donghuang Baiji, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji fell asleep. While nestling in Yihua's embrace, the corner of Qingye's mouth was brimming with a blissful smile. Qingye was definitely having a sweet dream. Right now, Yihua was very conflicted. This kind of opportunity is hard to come by. I really want to hug them. In that case, I'll just act stealthily, and I'll just touch them. The more Yihua thought about it, the more his heart itched. With these two wives, if I can't even touch them, I would rather die than live. Yihua lightly caressed their waists and touched their exquisite skin. So comfortable, so comfortable. Being a human is really comfortable, it's much more interesting than being a skeleton. However, caressing their waists was no longer enough to satisfy Yihua's appetite. His evil hands had already reached into the wives' clothes. This feeling, this smoothness, it's simply a pleasure to touch my palms. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji's skin is of the highest quality, the more I touch it, the more comfortable it feels. The two wives seemed to have sensed it as they let out moans and opened their eyes at the same time. Yihua was so frightened that he hurriedly closed his eyes and pretended that nothing had happened. However, his evil hands were still inside the wives' clothes, kneading them. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji's faces immediately became red. Their breasts were being assaulted. However, very quickly, the two women felt that something was amiss. Wasn't Yihua paralyzed? Why is his hand still able to move? Is he still doing bad things? Yihua, wake up. Qingye's face became red. This fellow is still grabbing onto my breasts. Donghuang Baiji tightly pressed onto Yihua's evil hands, and her heart was extremely itchy. Yihua knew that Donghuang Baiji was very sensitive. Ah. What's the matter? Yihua pretended to open his eyes, and his eyes were filled with doubt. Qingye pouted, look at what you are doing. Yihua asked doubtfully, what's the matter? I didn't do anything. Look at where you are putting your hands. Yihua looked over and even grabbed onto Donghuang Baiji's hands. Donghuang Baiji immediately let out a moan, and even Qingye was biting onto her lips. Wow, my hands can move, my God. This is so magical. Yihua cried out in surprise as he stretched out his hands and took a look. Looking at the two beautiful wives, Yihua was extremely touched. Thank you for healing my hands. I believe that I will be able to fully recover in no time. Seeing that Yihua's hands were able to move, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji cried tears of joy. They finally saw a trace of hope, and they even forgot that they were taken advantage of by Yihua just now. I feel that I can't exert any strength with my hands right now, and I am still in the recovery period. I still need you all to take care of me. Yihua said gravely. He was still thinking about the days where he didn't need to use his hands. Of course, the two girls would take good care of him, so they hurriedly nodded in agreement. Qingye, Baiji, from this matter, it can be seen that the two of you have to accompany me more. Perhaps, I will be able to recover faster. After finished speaking, Qingye prepared to take action again. The two women hurriedly pressed him down. Qingye said bashfully, Yihua, you can't do this. Qingye, thank you for using your bodies to heal me. We should work harder. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji couldn't take it anymore and ran out of the bedroom. A trace of an arc appeared on the corner of Yihua's mouth as he sniffed his palm. So fragrant. Resting his head on the back of his head, Yihua was in a good mood as he contacted Wei Chang. How's the investigation going? Your Honor, I was just about to report this matter, but the result is a bit horrifying, Yihua laughed lightly. For Wei Chang to say that Yihua was horrified, it must definitely be extremely horrifying. Tell me, how scary was it? Those people are exactly the same as us. Wei Chang said in surprise. When he first saw those people, he nearly jumped in fright, especially that skeleton that was wearing a mage robe. That skeleton is exactly the same as his Honor's original body. Yihua was also a bit startled, exactly the same. Could it be that there is a second His Honor? Your Honor, there is indeed someone that looks exactly the same as you. Wei Chang said gravely. Chapter 264. How is their strength? Wei Chang replied respectfully, subordinate has not tried it, but based on my estimation, they should be weaker than Death Mage. You mean that Death Mage did not exterminate them? Yihua asked faintly. At first, Yihua was a bit interested, but when he heard that Death Mage was weaker than Death Mage, he immediately lost his interest. Reporting to your honor, it was under the situation of 1 versus 1. That's a bit interesting, it piqued my interest. Is there any movement from the southern powers? Yihua asked. According to Sun Fang, some of the southern powers are in a mess, and they are currently begging aristocratic families to help out. Yihua sneered, those people really don't have the guts. Other people are scared to this extent just by exterminating a sect. In the past, when we exterminate a city, the reinforcements would immediately arrive. Your honor, those people exterminated Dry Zen sect in a single night, how would ordinary powers dare to help out? After all, they don't even have an ancient godly item. I understand, those aristocratic families are not their match. In the end, a big shot will definitely step out. Tell Sun Fang, Ing family, not to interfere, and let another big shot do it. Right now, both my wife's power and Ing family's power have suffered quite a bit of damage. Ji family naturally cannot let them off easily. I will let those people from the stronghold help me exterminate those people. This should be what humans call killing with a borrowed knife, right? Subordinate understands, I will arrange it right away. After cutting off the connection with Wei Chang, Yihua went into deep thought. What was going on with the sudden appearance of a knockoff? Is it intentional, or is it a coincidence? In terms of strength, those people are only at the level of Death Mage, this is too strange. Furthermore, they occupy a mountain and wait for others to come and cause trouble. This is exactly the same as what I did back then. After exterminating a city, they would stay behind and wait for others to attack, then kill all of them. What a pleasant surprise. You guys better not get killed by the humans. If not, I will be very disappointed. Right now, the southern aristocratic family, Ding family, was currently holding a meeting regarding the extermination of their sect. All 5 aristocratic families from the south were present. Ding family's family head, Ding Yuan, was among them. Wu family's martial saint. Diao family's Jiao Lang. He family's He Tian. Murong family's Murong Ji. The appearance of the 5 aristocratic families was unquestionable, they were all handsome uncles, and each of them had their own style. However, there was no nervousness on their faces. When it came to such matters, it was always the weak who were worried. Because one who possessed an ancient godly item would be able to easily exterminate a sect, and all of their clans possessed an ancient godly item, this matter could not be considered as a crisis, and it could only be considered as a small trouble. Diao Lang played with the matchbox in his hand and said lightly, originally, we were going to discuss how to deal with the northern forces today, but a group of people suddenly appeared last night and admitted to what they did. That makes things easier. My Diao family will not shirk our duty. Diao Lang, I'm afraid that's not good. I have some history with that Hai Daisy, and he was killed by that group of people. Just leave this revenge to me. Murongji lightly knocked on the table, wanting to fight for this operation. Murongji, you and Hai Daisy have only met once, but Guang clan's Guang Tianlu is my distant relative. I must take revenge for this. He Tian bellowed, appearing very domineering. The martial saint chuckled and said slowly, distant relatives. He Tian, are you here to be funny? I even said that Sun Yi is my mistress. Enough. Ding Yuan snorted coldly. My son, Ding Yuanwu, has already been missing for several days, and he must have been killed. It is very possible that he was killed by them. My Ding family will take this revenge. Ding Yuan glared angrily. His most beloved son was killed, and his heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. This revenge was absolutely irreconcilable. The martial saint stroked his temples and said lightly, Ding Yuan, who doesn't know what kind of person that son of yours is? Sooner or later, he will be killed and buried. That's right, this excuse of yours is too baseless. You can just randomly accuse others. Perhaps, that group of people did not even do it. Diao Lang said disdainfully. He took out a matchbox and lit it, watching it burn to ashes. Murongji paused for a moment, then stood up and said, "Since everyone wants to be so greedy, then let's draw lots. This way, it will be fair to everyone." In actuality, the four of them nodded their heads. Getting rid of evil was also one of the merits. If they had the chance to run for the position of a big shot, it would be very useful. Diao Lang took out 5 matchboxes and drew them in different lengths. "Go with the shortest one." The 4 of them did not say anything. Everyone's strength was about the same, and cheating was easily seen. Soon after, they drew lots one by one. Diao Lang let out a light sigh, then cupped his hands towards Ding Yuan and said, "Ding Yuan, the opportunity for revenge is here." The other 3 shook their heads and sighed. This good luck actually got taken away by Ding Yuan. This is truly disappointing. Ding Yuan clenched his fist and said faintly, "Tomorrow, I will hang the heads of those people at my Ding family's toilet." "Congratulations to you first then." He Tian congratulated with a mocking tone. Chapter 265. He believed that tomorrow would be a beautiful day. However, to Wei Chang, today was a terrifying day. "I didn't come to Qing Bar for a few days, and I can only see that all of the oil paintings that I have collected had all shattered into pieces and fell onto the ground. Those are the genuine works that I have collected. Madame Dong Huang is too ferocious. If you are angry, then go and beat up His Honor. Why did you use my paintings to vent your anger on me?" Originally, I was still thinking of taking a few of my paintings to sell off to pay back my debt, but now... GG. However, to Yi Hua, every single day was a good day, especially with the Empress accompanying him to sleep. Tonight, Qingya and Qingya went to spend the night with Yi Hua, and it was the Empress's turn to serve Yi Hua. However, from afternoon onwards, the Empress's face had been starting to turn red, and when night came, her face became even more tender and beautiful. Yi Hua's heart started to itch when he saw that pair of watery beautiful eyes of hers. Each and every one of my women is more alluring than the other. Originally, Yi Hua had planned to touch all over the Empress's body tonight, but in the end, Li was squeezed in the middle, and this caused Yi Hua's plan to fail once again. However, towards his daughter, Yi Hua didn't have the slightest bit of temper. Dong Huangli was lying in the middle of her parents, and her face was filled with a big smile. Dong Huangli kissed her parents on the left and right side of her body, and Dong Huangli looked extremely happy. Compared to the past, the present life was like that of an immortal. He had his parents by his side, and he could even sleep on the same bed at night. He was so happy. "Daddy, Mommy, quickly give birth to a younger brother for Ali," Dong Huangli, who was lying in the middle, said happily. Dong Huang Baiji was wearing a set of black silk pajamas today, and that faintly discernible appearance of hers made Yi Hua feel very uncomfortable. Especially that monarch aura that was emitted from between her brows, it made Yi Hua very mad. Dong Huang Baiji turned her body and placed her hand on her forehead, then asked curiously, "Why does Ali want to have a younger brother so much?" "Because right now, Ali is the youngest. After Aunt Qing gives birth to a baby, Ali will be the eldest. However, there are too few of us. Mommy, you have to hurry up and give birth to a baby as well. When the time comes, Ali will be the big sister, and Ali will have a group of little brothers." Dong Huangli didn't tell Dong Huangli what her main purpose was. "In actuality, I can bully little brothers. I am so happy." Hearing her daughter's explanation, Dong Huang Baiji smiled tenderly. A smile appeared on the corner of Yi Hua's mouth. "The number of my family members is gradually increasing. This is a good sign. Mama, hurry up and have a baby with Papa." The little fellow said pitifully, causing Dong Huang Baiji to feel extremely shy. Your daddy only understands the process of giving birth. Seeing that her mommy's face was completely red and not speaking, Dong Huangli began begging her father again, "Daddy, mommy, you are all not speaking anymore. Ollie, the process of giving birth is not for children to watch." Dong Huangli wrinkled her brows, then abruptly stood up, then, "Ollie won't disturb daddy and mommy giving birth anymore. Ollie and Aunt Ching are going to sleep now." After finished speaking, Dong Huangli put on her slippers and walked out of the house. From the looks of it, Dong Huangli really wants to be bullied by a little brother. "Ollie!" Dong Huang Baiji shouted out tenderly. "My daughter is my shield, and now that my shield has run away, Yihua is still going to bully me to death. Baiji, come over," Yihua said faintly. Dong Huang Baiji's heartbeat quickened as if it was a small electric motor. Dong Huang Baiji said in a low voice, "No, hurry up and come over, or I'll tell Ollie that you're not cooperating with me." Dong Huang Baiji was completely speechless. "To actually use your daughter to threaten me, you are truly shameless." Slowly getting closer, "That's more obedient." Yihua was very satisfied, and his evil hands hugged onto Dong Huang Baiji's waist. "Yihua," Dong Huang Baiji moaned. "My fire has been ignited by you, what an enchanting empress. Baiji, your figure is still so good." Yihua's hands had long slipped into his pajamas. Dong Huang Baiji was already unable to control herself. A trace of a smile appeared on the corner of Yihua's mouth. "Baiji, you are still so sensitive." "Stop messing around," Dong Huang Baiji shouted out shyly. "This fellow only ignites the fire, and not extinguishes the fire." Dong Huang Baiji felt bitter in her heart. Yihua retracted his evil hands and lightly hugged onto Dong Huang Baiji's proud body. "Baiji, when I recover, let's give birth to a younger brother for Ollie." Dong Huang Baiji let out a breath of relief, "And, as long as you are happy." "Did you hear that? I have already subdued those two women, and after a few days, I will automatically recover." Wouldn't that be a bit too fast? It would be bad if they were to see through me. The feeling of sleeping while hugging the Empress is indeed different. If only Qingya is here as well, that would be perfect. The night gradually faded away, and the radiance of dawn arrived. In the sky above Dry Zen sect, there were 3,000 people gathered. On the flag, there was the word Ding written in flamboyant calligraphy. All of the Ding family's disciples were wearing armors and looking at Dry Zen sect below them. Right now, there was no difference between Dry Zen sect and how it was in the past. There was no bloodstain, no smoke, and there was only the indistinct aura of death floating in the sky, causing people to feel uncomfortable. Ding Yuan shouted out loudly, "Stabilize your mind. This group of people is indeed formidable, just this aura of death alone is enough to cause people to feel fear." It is no wonder that they were able to exterminate Dry Zen sect in a single night. Ding Yuan could be seen taking out a 5-colored bell from his body. This was Ding family's ancient godly item, soul-absorbing bell. "Everyone in the sect, listen up. You have already been surrounded. If you are sensible, then put down your weapons and come out with your hands behind your head. I will let you have an intact corpse." Ding Yuan shouted towards Dry Zen sect. However, the sect was still as quiet as before, as if there was not a single person in the sect. Ding Yuan's eldest son took a step forward and said in a low voice, "Family head, we can attack forcefully." Ding Yuan remained silent for a moment, then ordered, "Ding Hui, bring 1,000 people to probe and attack." "Yes." Ding Hui waved his hand, and thousands of people followed Ding Hui and descended into Dry Zen sect. Everyone was very careful, fearing that they might fall into a trap. However, there were no traps or ambushes. Upon seeing this, Ding Yuan ordered everyone to attack together. Instantly, the sounds of killing rang out in the valley, and the sounds were deafening. Logically speaking, such sounds of killing would definitely be accompanied by the sounds of weapons clashing. However, there were only sounds of killing, and there were no other sounds. The Ding family effortlessly conquered the Dry Zen sect. Sect head, we won. It was unknown who shouted out, but the entire Ding family started cheering and waving the large flag in their hands. A trace of a smile appeared on Ding Yuan's face. However, this is too easy, right? Does this Dry Zen sect not have anyone else? However, Ding Yuan still didn't know how many people had exterminated Dry Zen sect, and he still thought that it was a large army of 100 people. Hiss! The two large mahogany doors of the palace were slowly opened, and a man could be seen wearing a nightgown. His hair was fluffy, and there were even eye bags on his forehead. It's still early in the morning, why are you making so much noise? Are you not letting me sleep? Greed took out a gold-rimmed spectacle from the pocket of his nightgown, then wiped it and wore it. Everyone from Ding family looked towards Greed. Why is there only one person? Ding Yuan asked, Your Excellency, who are you? Chapter 266. As soon as he said that, everyone became vigilant and pointed their swords at Greed. You are the one who destroyed the sect. Ding Yuan shouted furiously as he raised the soul-sucking bell in his hand. The corner of Greed's mouth raised into a clever arc. He smiled and said, Don't be so exaggerated. I just killed a few people for entertainment. How dare you? Don't be presumptuous. Ding Yuan immediately shook the soul-sucking bell in his hand. The five-colored light drifted out along with the sound of the bell and attacked Greed with a strange sound. Ah, Chio! Greed suddenly sneezed and said lightly, This mountain is quite cold. Everyone looked on stupidly. The attack of an ancient godly item was actually blown away by a single sneeze. How was this possible? Greed stretched out his hand and grasped the soul-sucking bell in Ding Yuan's hand. This bell can be used to tease dogs, but it's still lacking when it comes to killing people. With a light grip, the Ding clan's ancient godly item exploded. The enormous energy produced overturned all the members of the Ding clan, and they were instantly thrown off their feet. Ding Yuan was already stupefied. The ancient godly item was actually crushed by the other party. Am I seeing things? How is this possible? Impossible. Silence, everyone. This is a smokescreen. Ding Yuan shouted loudly. As expected, the team quietened down. You madmen. You want to scare off my Ding clan with a mere smokescreen? Hand over your life. Greed yawned and said with a smile, You humans just like to deceive others. They haven't woken up yet. I'll deal with your group first. You can all end yourselves. After saying that, he turned around and entered the hall, preparing to go back to sleep. Kill yourself. These 4 words reverberated in everyone's ears, but there was no change in their expressions. Among the Ding clan disciples, one of them picked up a large saber and stabbed it toward himself. Not only did he not die from the first strike, he even pulled out the saber and stabbed a second time. Everyone, don't panic. This is just a smokescreen. Ding Yuan shook his head and shouted. His eldest son pulled out his sword and slashed it across his neck. Blood splattered everywhere. Ding Yuan's face was covered with his son's blood. This is a smokescreen. Everyone, stay calm. I stabbed myself. It feels so good. Why can't I stab myself to death? Let's do it a few more times. Just like that, Ding Yuan watched as everyone committed suicide. His 10 sons all fell to the ground, and in less than 10 minutes' time, all of the Ding clan's descendants had fallen into a pool of blood. There was a thick smell of blood in the air. The pungent smell made people want to vomit, but there was no pain on everyone's face. Instead, there was a smile of relief. Smokescreen, smokescreen. Ding Yuan mumbled. He didn't dare to believe everything that was happening in front of him. Greed had only used the simplest hypnosis, but at Ding Yuan's level, low-level hypnosis was useless. Therefore, among the thousands of people present, he was the only one who didn't get hypnotized. Clang! Ding Yuan pulled out his sword and muttered, "It's all a smokescreen, it's all a smokescreen, it's all fake, Puchi." He stabbed himself in the heart with a backhand slash. The tall and big figure gradually fell onto the ground, and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. His eyes were filled with the figures of his sons, and he was still mumbling, "Smokescreen, smokescreen, these are all smokescreen." In an instant, the Ding clan, one of the 5 great clans of the south, was completely annihilated. The enemy did see them, but they didn't even touch the corner of the enemy's clothes. The other 4 great clans should be rejoicing that they didn't draw the lottery of death. This was basically no different from sending themselves to death. Ding clan still wanted to come and snatch the merit, and in the end, even in death, they didn't believe what was happening in front of them. There were a few groups of people that were hiding in the dark and observing the situation. When they saw that all of Ding clan's people were mutilating themselves, they were so scared that their souls almost floated away. Only after a long while did they come back to their senses and hurriedly spread the news of Ding clan's people being annihilated. Even the aristocratic clans were unable to do anything. The big shots will definitely have to take action. Sure enough, when this news spread out, the entire cultivation world went crazy, and the cultivation world even sank into waves of panic. Ding clan that possessed an ancient godly item was annihilated just like that. Not a single person was left alive, and the enemy was only one person. My God, how did that person do it? He isn't a human at all, he is a demon. When the other 4 great clans received this news, all of them had a stupefied look on their faces. Soon after, they patted on their chest. It was fortunate that they didn't draw the lottery, if not, the one that died would be them. Following that, the remaining 4 great clans would once again hold a meeting, and it was definitely impossible for them to attend. After discussing, the result was that the big shots would be sent out. We aristocratic clans are not a match for them. Within the bedroom on the 2nd floor of Leisure Bar, Dong Wang Baiji's spotlessly white arms were placed onto Yihua's chest, and she was tightly nestled within Yihua's arms. To Dong Wang Baiji, it had been a very long time since she had slept so peacefully. An urgent jade slip was sent over, causing Dong Wang Baiji to open her hazy beautiful eyes. Seeing that Yihua still hadn't woken up, Dong Wang Baiji stealthily kissed him, then checked the jade slip that was sent over. Slowly, Dong Wang Baiji's expression sunk. Ding clan's people were just annihilated. The enemy was only one person. An entire family was annihilated by a single person. How is this possible? The strength of the families that were chosen are all very strong, especially those few family heads. With the assistance of an ancient godly item, how is it possible for the family to be annihilated? And it was so fast. Baiji, what's wrong? Yihua asked faintly. Just now, he had also received Wei Chang's message. Well done. But that group of fools really doesn't know how to act. If my main body was there, I would have definitely put on a good act today, and it would have been very difficult for us to win. Everyone would have been heavily injured, and only then would those humans attack us together. And not like this, where a single person intimidated everyone, and Yihua dared to guarantee that even the big shots wouldn't dare to make a move. The knockoff is truly an idiot. However, thinking back to how I was in the past, I seem to be really like this. As expected, I was very stupid in the past. Yihua, just now, Ding clan's people were annihilated, and the enemy only dispatched a single person. Dong Wang Baiji said gravely, and worry could be seen flashing past her beautiful eyes. Yihua pulled Dong Wang Baiji into his embrace and said faintly, "What does it have to do with you?" Of course it has to do with me. The role of the 3 big shots is to maintain public order. Pinching onto the Empress's cheek, Yihua said gravely, Baiji, your mission is to be a good wife and a good mother. Yihua, be serious. Did you forget what you should do when you wake up in the morning? Yihua reminded. Donghuang Baiji rolled her eyes at Yihua, then gave him a sweet kiss. Comfortable. After taking liberties with the Empress, Yihua let go of her and said calmly, this is the South's matter, and it doesn't belong to the North's matter. Donghuang Baiji, who was blushing, said gravely, what if that group of people were to come to the North? Could it be that you want to go there? Yihua asked gravely. Donghuang Baiji nodded her head, if the South is helpless, I can only go there. You are not allowed. Yihua shouted out coldly. Why do you, the Empress, still have the ambition to maintain the world's peace? Aren't you going against me? Furthermore, with that little bit of ability of yours, you aren't even a match for that group of people. Donghuang Baiji pouted her small mouth, then pulled onto her husband's hand and shook it. Yihua, this is my job, you should support me. Chapter 267. Why not? Qingye could be seen bringing Donghuang Li into the bedroom. Donghuang Li immediately jumped onto the bed, then kissed onto her father's cheek. Daddy, wake up. Soon after, Qingye walked over and gave Yihua a sweet kiss. This caused Yihua to feel extremely pleased. While Yihua was playing with Ali, Donghuang Baiji told Qingye about what happened. Qingye, who had awakened her bloodline, had the consciousness to protect the safety of humans. When encountering this kind of situation, she was even more duty-bound. Baiji, when the time comes, I will accompany you. Qingye smiled tenderly. Qingye, thank you. Donghuang Baiji was very grateful towards Qingye, and her impression of Donghuang Baiji rose to another level. What are you all going for? Who allowed you all to go? Yihua shouted out gravely. You all have only been obedient for a few days, and yet, you all are starting to jump around again. Can you intervene in such a matter? What does it have to do with you if other people are killing well? Donghuang Baiji pulled onto Qingye's hand, hinting Qingye to go and talk to Qingye. After all, in the eyes of the two women, what Yihua was doing was an expression of concern. Qingye said tenderly, Yihua, don't worry, we will be able to settle it. What are you talking about? Don't you know it's very dangerous? In any case, you are not allowed to go. Yihua said gravely. Right now, Qingye has become stronger, but she does not have any battle experience at all. Thus, even if she were to go to the battle arena, it would be a waste of her time. Donghuang Li also started speaking out, what Daddy said is right, Mommy and Aunt Qing are both not allowed to go. Look, even Ali is more sensible than you. Donghuang Baiji smiled helplessly, Yihua, it's not like I'm saying that I'm going to head over there right now. I'll think about it after they take a step further. That's more like it. Help me up. We're going out for breakfast today. There's a good wonton shop. Ali, wake Papa up. Ali is the most obedient. Yihua rubbed onto his daughter's head, then looked at the two women. Do you think that the two of you are Ultraman, rushing to wherever there is danger? Qingye and Donghuang Baiji shook their heads helplessly. Her temper is still as bad as ever. Only we are able to endure it. Two such women were pushing a man in a wheelchair out with a child. This combination once again blinded everyone's eyes. Right now, regardless of whether it was men or women, young or old, everyone was looking at Qingye and Donghuang Baiji, and no one was looking at Yihua anymore. In fact, the gazes that little Ali received were even more than Yihua. This caused Yihua to be speechless. In the future, I might as well just stay at home. After all, my limelight has already been snatched away by them. However, this is also giving me face. If I bring a woman like this out, I will definitely have face. What is there to look at? If you look any longer, kill them all. Your Honor. Your subordinate has something to report. Wei Chang's voice resounded in his mind. Those people are making a move. Wei Chang said gravely, Ying family, according to his Honor's orders, Ying family didn't come out this time, but Ji family also found an excuse to not come out. This Ji family is quite smart. They know that they aren't a match for me. Yi Hua sneered in his heart. This Ji family is much smarter than I thought. However, Ji family is still going to be exterminated. There is Ying family in the south, and there is Voidless Realm in the north. There was no point in keeping it. Your Honor, this Ji family doesn't act according to common sense. Should we make a move and give them a warning? Or exterminate them? Wei Chang asked curiously. Yi Hua pondered for a moment, then said faintly, let go of this Ji family first. Rather than us making a move against them, we might as well let them do it themselves. This kind of Ji family that retreats without putting up a fight will definitely incur hatred from others. Your subordinate understands Your Honor's meaning. Right now, I will have Sun Fong spread the news and ruin Ji family's reputation. That's right. Wei Chang asked once again, how are we going to deal with those counterfeits? Let's see what they are going to do next first. Yes. Right now, in Ji family's courtyard, more than 10 important members of Ji family were sitting inside and having a meeting. The meeting this time was regarding the extermination of Ji family. Ji family's family head was wearing a gorgeous robe, which gave off a unique aura. Ji family's family head was wearing a gorgeous robe, and his facial features were also very imposing. This person's name was Ji Zizhen. Sitting on the left and right side of the family head were his 2 younger brothers. The one on the left was tall and mighty, and his name was Ji Ji, the second son of Ji family. The one on the right was the third son, and his name was Ji Ting. Just like Ji Ji, he was also a tall and sturdy man. Only the eldest son, Ji Zizhen, had a handsome appearance, which was truly strange. As for the others, they were all elders of Ji family, and Ji Zizhen didn't put them in his eyes at all. After all of them were people who already have one foot in the coffin. Family head, the 4 big families are requesting for help. We cannot cower away from them, if not, we will become a laughingstock for others. One of the elders said. At a time like this, Ji family can only step forward. If not, why would the 4 big families submit to us? Ji Ji laughed loudly. Elder, what you said is too serious. Us not stepping forward is the absolute truth. What second brother said is right. Right now, Voidless Realm and Ying family's vitality is greatly damaged, and it is precisely the time for our Ji family to rise up. If our foundation is damaged because of this kind of thing, wouldn't we be losing a great opportunity? Ji Ting said in disdain. Suppressing the other 2 big families is the most important thing. The elder ignored the other elder's advice and said, Family head, the situation right now is different. Dry Zen sect was exterminated, and Ding family is following closely behind. Ying family also said that their vitality is greatly damaged, and it isn't suitable for them to move out. Right now, this task has fallen onto our shoulders. If family head doesn't step forward, it will be very hard for us to convince others. Ji Ji laughed lightly. Elder, you are already old, and you are already afraid of everything. Why would my Ji family be afraid of those small fries? I don't think they dare to do anything. Ji Zizhen, who had been silent all this while, said faintly, I have already rejected them. There is no need to talk about this matter anymore, because there is no meaning to it. Family head. Elder, you should go back home and rest. The sun is very strong today, be careful not to get a heat stroke. Ji Zizhen said with concern. However, it was clear that he wanted to let go of this elder. The elder waved his hand. This Ji family is going to be defeated by these 3 brothers sooner or later. After remaining silent for a long time, the 3rd brother Ji Ting gradually emitted out a murderous aura. Big brother. It is rumored that someone should have come to stop the battle between Ing family and Voidless Realm, but that person didn't appear. It is possible that those people disappeared, so there is no need for us to act according to the rules. Third brother, wait a bit more. If no one appears within half a month, we will annex Ing family. In the south, we only need one big family. As for Voidless Realm in the north, after we exterminate Ing family, we will exterminate them. And unify the cultivation world. Ji Zizhen said very indifferently, as if this matter was within his reach. However, the murderous aura within Ji Zizhen's eyes was real. Everyone stood up, then cupped their hands and shouted out, "Unify the cultivation world." The corner of Ji Zizhen's mouth curved up into a trace of an arc. Right now, Yi Hua was currently leading his family of 4 to eat FJ wontons. "Boss! Give me another big bowl of wontons." Yi Hua shouted out faintly. This amount of wontons is too little, humans are just stingy. However, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were eating very elegantly, and just looking at them was a kind of enjoyment. "Boss, Li wants a big bowl of wontons too." Donghuang Li still hasn't learned how to eat elegantly, and she was eating exactly the same as her father. Alright. Chapter 268. Handsome, it's a small business. I'll help you add some points. The boss was also a straightforward person, mainly for the sake of the children, and of course, for the sake of the two beautiful women. Donghuang Baiji took out a tissue and helped her daughter wipe off the soup on the corner of her mouth. "Ollie, when a girl eats, she must chew her food carefully and swallow it slowly. But, if Ollie wants to learn from mommy, she will need to eat for at least half an hour." Donghuang Li took a look and saw that both she and her daddy had already eaten a bowl of rice, and they have yet to even finish half of the bowl. Both of them were women who stood in the clouds. When they were out, they had to pay attention to their image. How could they mess around like they were at home? Yi Hua admired this point of hers. "As my woman, not only is she able to get on the bed, she is also able to cook, and when I bring her out, she is also able to shine brightly in all directions. Ollie is still young. When he grows up, he will naturally be embarrassed to eat like this." On the other hand, Yi Hua didn't mind at all. "My daughter is naturally not a flower vase, and in the future, my daughter is going to follow me to kill enemies. If she were to act coy while eating a meal, how would she look? Coming, be careful, it's hot." The boss walked over with 2 bowls of big dumplings. Now that he could move his hands, he couldn't enjoy their considerate service. Although he was a little disappointed, at least he could touch them, and that was quite satisfying. Donghuang Baiji once again received the jade letter from Voidless Realm and let out a light sigh. "What happened?" Qingye asked concernedly. "The Ying family is recuperating in the name of not participating in the battle. This is understandable, but this Ji family is actually avoiding the battle. This is too much." Donghuang Baiji was incomparably furious. As a big shot of the south, such a big matter had actually happened, and they actually did not pay any attention to it. This is simply too infuriating. Yi Hua did not make a sound. Seems like Wei Chang and the others have done a pretty good job in gathering information. Right now, they are even slightly ahead of us. I'm afraid that Ji family has ulterior motives, right? Baiji, you need to be a bit more careful. Qingye was very concerned. Right now, everyone was a family, and it was necessary to be concerned for Baiji. Donghuang Baiji let out a heavy sigh, and "I will be careful." Since the two of them have decided to wash their hands of this matter, you don't have to bother about this matter as well, lest you fall into their trap. Yi Hua instructed faintly. Donghuang Li said with a childish voice, "Mommy, you have to listen to Daddy." "Okay, Mama will listen to Papa." Donghuang Baiji laughed lightly. She knew that they were forcing her to act. If she were to really act, she would be falling into their trap. Donghuang Baiji was not a fool. Yihua felt much more at ease. As long as Donghuang Baiji doesn't interfere, everything will still be under my control. Although my days are comfortable, I still need to have some entertainment activities. As the head of the family, Yihua said faintly, "Today, we will accompany Ali to have some fun. Shopping malls, amusement parks, we will go to all of them." "Wow, that's great. Thank you, Papa." Donghuang Li immediately became excited, and she finished the rest of the wontons in a few bites. Donghuang Li couldn't wait to fly over and play with the wontons right now. Of course, the two women would not refuse such a thing. While playing with the children, wasn't it also a date? After all, Donghuang Baiji had never gone out with Yihua before. The family of four first arrived at the biggest amusement park in Long City, Fanti. Along the way, the little fellow was extremely excited. When he reached the gate, he couldn't control himself anymore. He ran all over the place as if he had been injected with stimulants. Donghuang Baiji had no choice but to carry her daughter in her embrace, while Qingya was responsible for pushing Yihua. This was also Yihua's first time coming to an amusement park. This human sure knows how to play. But, is that roller coaster really that exciting? The screams are so loud. "Daddy, Mommy, Ali wants to sit on the roller coaster." Donghuang Li shouted while being carried by her mother. Donghuang Baiji said tenderly, "Ali is still not tall enough right now, others won't let Ali sit on the roller coaster." Ali wants to play, Daddy, you can talk to those uncles." Seeing that begging her mother was useless, Ali looked towards her father for help. Yihua smoked a cigarette and said with a light smile, "Ali, there are some rules that you have to follow, do you understand?" Donghuang Li pouted her small mouth. "I am angry now, and you all can't even coax me properly." "Ali, look, there is ice cream for sale." Donghuang Li, who was about to throw a tantrum just a moment ago, immediately cheered, "Mommy, I want to eat, all right, let's go and buy it together." Looking at Donghuang Baiji, who was carrying his daughter to buy ice cream, Yihua held on to Qingya's small hand. "What's wrong? Are you envious?" "Of course not." Qingya laughed. "In a few months' time, you are going to become a mommy too, you have to prepare yourself," Yihua said warmly. Qingya laughed lightly, "I have already prepared myself. If it is a mischievous little thing, you will be in for a treat." I like mischievous little things. In the future, you can follow me to conquer the world." Yihua laughed heartily. His heroism immediately attracted the attention of the surrounding people. However, very quickly, the attention of the surrounding people fell onto Qingya. What a beautiful woman. Qingya rolled her eyes at her husband. "Don't lead my child astray, in the future, he will either be a scientist or a doctor. What kind of future is there for him to have? In the future, our family will stand at the peak of the universe and look down on the world. Stop smoking, you're acting cool after smoking syndrome is back." Qingya threw the cigarette that was in Yihua's mouth into the trash can. "Daddy, Aunt Qing, here is your ice cream." Qingya pinched onto Donghuang Li's tender little face. Ali is so obedient. Receiving the praise of an adult, Donghuang Li became even happier. On the other hand, Yihua was paying attention to his wives who were eating ice cream. He was either licking the ice cream or sucking the ice cream into his mouth. If that's the case, it should be very pleasurable, right? "You are Qingya." A voice could be heard, and Yihua turned his head around to take a look. It was a person who could barely be considered as a beauty. Looking at the person who suddenly appeared, Qingya wrinkled her brows and cried out in surprise, "You are Yunlan." "Qingya, it has been 10 years since we last met, and I almost couldn't recognize you. You are too beautiful." Yunlan exclaimed in admiration. At first, he didn't believe it, but now that he had confirmed it, he truly envied Qinya. Qinya also appeared to be very polite. "You're flattering me, you're still the same, there's not much of a change in you." The two of them were middle school classmates. At that time, Qing family was still developing in Long and City, and only in recent years did Qing family move to Zijin City to develop. Qinya studied in Long and City during her middle school and high school. "This is?" Yunlan looked towards Yihua and asked. Yunlan thought to herself, "This man's appearance is quite handsome, it's just that it's a pity." "He is my husband, Yihua." Qinya appeared to be very gentle and didn't feel embarrassed at all. "Hello." Yunlan extended his hand and smiled. If it was according to Yihua's personality in the past, he definitely wouldn't have extended his hand out. But right now, Yihua was giving Qinya face. After extending his hand out and lightly shaking Qinya's hand, Yihua immediately retracted his hand back, as if there were germs on other people's hands. Yunlan felt that this man's attitude is really cold and detached. Qinya is truly pitiful. She is rich and has such a good appearance, yet, she actually likes this kind of arrogant and conceited man. Chapter 269. "This is?" Yunlan asked curiously. "This woman is too long-winded. I really want to kick her away." "My wife," Yihua said faintly. Yunlan was surprised that this man had two wives, but she soon got used to it. It wasn't like she hadn't seen it before. It was just that it was a pity that such two beauties were paired with this cold man in a wheelchair. In actuality, Donghuang Baiji's personality was very similar to Yihua's. If there was an outsider present, Donghuang Baiji's empress-like aura would be faintly discernible. "Qinya, it's going to be noon soon, let's have a meal together. Qiu Yan is also here, let's have a good chat about the old days." Yunlan sorted out his feelings. "This is someone else's family matter, it's best for me not to get involved in it." "Qiu Yan is here too," Qinya said with a smile. "I remember that when I was in junior high school, my relationship with Qiu Yan was pretty good. Just that, when I was in senior high school, Qiu Yan went to another city to study." "That's right, she found a very formidable husband, this is too interesting." Yunlan began sharing this interesting story with Qinya. Qinya asked curiously, "What about you?" "Me? That's all. That guy went to buy water for me." Qinya also wanted to reminisce about the old days with her old classmate, but she had to ask for Yihua's opinion first. "Yihua, let's go and have a meal together." Originally, it was time for the family of four to play together, and Yihua actually didn't want other people to join in. However, when he saw that Qinya wanted to go, Yihua didn't oppose her. He didn't say anything and just nodded. Seeing Yihua's actions, Yunlan felt that this man is really awesome. If he were to smoke a stick of cigarette, he would definitely be able to act cool. Yihua silently took out a stick of cigarette and lit it. Yunlan was speechless. "Yunlan, I've been looking for you for a long time." Two men and a woman could be seen walking over from the side. In Yihua's eyes, the woman could be counted as an ordinary beauty. After all, he had been looking at Qinya and Donghuang Baiji every single day. Of course, these ordinary beauties were considered goddesses in the eyes of ordinary people. As for the other two men, he could just mindlessly ignore them. There was nothing to see. "Qinya!" One of the women cried out in surprise. She immediately ran over and pulled Qinya's delicate hand. Yihua's brows wrinkled. "You even dare to touch my woman, are you tired of living?" "Qiu Yan, long time no see." Qinya smiled faintly. She was very happy in her heart. Just that, Yihua was very unhappy. "Later on, I'm going to properly teach Qinya a lesson." Other than me and the child, I'm not allowed to touch anyone else. However, I have to talk to Donghuang Baiji right now. Baiji. What's wrong? Donghuang Baiji slightly bent her body and asked curiously. Yihua said unhappily, look at what mistake Qinya has committed. Her husband asked a question, and he seemed unhappy. Donghuang Baiji took a look at Qinya. She didn't seem to have done anything wrong, why did she get angry? Mommy, Ollie knows. Donghuang Li raised her hand and shouted out. Ollie, you are not allowed to tell Mommy. Yihua reminded. Donghuang Li sighed, Mommy, Ollie can't help you anymore. What did Qinya do wrong? He really couldn't tell. Is it because Qinya was talking to her old classmate and neglected you? Donghuang Baiji felt that this was the case. If not, there was nothing for her to be angry about. Yihua shook his head, would I get angry because of this kind of thing? Something else. Mommy, Ollie will definitely give you a hint, Aunt Qing's hand. Donghuang Li reminded her mother in a low voice. Donghuang Baiji was stupefied, it couldn't be because Qinya's hand was held by that girl, right? That's right, Baiji, other than me and the child, you are not allowed to touch anyone else, not even women. Donghuang Baiji giggled, immediately becoming incomparably beautiful. A lot of people looked at Donghuang Baiji. She is too beautiful. This Yihua is too stingy, he is not even allowed to touch women. Alright, I promise you. Donghuang Baiji said tenderly. She was very obedient. That's more like it. Look at Qinya, she has already held onto my hand for so long, yet she still isn't letting go. Yihua said gravely. Qin Song was Yun Lan's husband, and the other man was called Tang Han, Qiu Yan's husband. When the two men saw Qinya and Donghuang Baiji, the surprised expression on their faces was very on point. This was also very normal. If there was any man who didn't exclaim in surprise upon seeing this, that man would definitely be gay. Both sides introduced one by one. Yihua and Donghuang Baiji were still the same, they only nodded their heads and didn't say anything. On the other hand, Qinya and her two old classmates were talking and laughing. I, the Supreme Overlord, am very angry right now. Daddy, Ollie won't make you angry in the future, Donghuang Li sat on her father's body and said quietly. Towards his daughter, Yihua was completely at ease. Donghuang Baiji was also relatively at ease. After all, her identity was still that of an empress, and she still had the aura that she should have. Qinya was very worried about Donghuang Baiji. In the future, I will have to slowly train Donghuang Baiji. The few came to the amusement park's restaurant and asked for a private room to eat together. Sitting at the dining table, Qinya and her old classmates were chatting happily, while the others were just listening to them. The atmosphere was actually very awkward. After chatting about the past, it was time to talk about the present. Chapter 270. However, the two men were a little embarrassed. Their wives loved to show off. Qinya, do you have any acquaintances? Perhaps we can confirm it sooner. Yun Lan asked curiously. Actually, even if he applied, he might be rejected. After all, it was very difficult to apply for a family. What he had just said was a boastful agreement. Donghuang Baiji was only in charge of the aristocratic family's election. In the end, she only needed to take a look at the election and then sign her name. But for others, this signature was an earth-shattering change. Qinya said tenderly, I really don't know this person. Yihua let out a breath. Qinya, why are you being so low-key? You should have just said that I, the Supreme Overlord, am capable. With just a word from me, I can make them big shots to play with. Of course, with just a word from me, I can also exterminate their entire race. Yunlan and Qiu Yan didn't just simply reminisce about the past, they knew that Qingya's family was a bit powerful, and it was normal for Yunlan to want to help her husband. Yunlan and Qiu Yan let out a light sigh. Originally, we thought that Qingya would be of some help. It is said that it is not safe right now. Qingya, you must be a bit more careful. Although he was unable to help Qingya, Yunlan still reminded Qingya. Qingya was very puzzled. How did they know about these things? Logically speaking, this kind of thing should be confidential. What's wrong? Qingya asked. Qiu Yan paused for a moment and said in a deep voice, "We heard that some people have come recently, causing those families to be on tenterhooks. Then why are you still trying to squeeze in? Can't you just live a good life?" Qingya was also persuading Yihua. The waters in this circle were too deep. If one were to be even slightly careless, one would invite a fatal disaster upon oneself. That's right, Yihua is an expert. Yunlan smiled and said, "Isn't there a chance now? After all, once you enter this circle, there are a lot of resources that you can use. It's not that easy to be the patriarch." Yihua suddenly said. This caused everyone that was sitting at the table to slightly go into a daze, especially Qingya's classmates and those two men. Why? Yunlan asked curiously. Yihua said indifferently, "Among the family heads that I have seen before, those family heads all have groups of wives and concubines. Wang Debao, I'm innocent." Qin Song and Tang Han were startled. "You already have 2 wives, and we also want 2. You actually dare to undermine us. How hateful." As expected, the 2 women frowned when they heard this. "Just take that, what is it called?" "Qingya, tell me about it." Qingya rolled her eyes at Yihua. Her eyes were extremely charming, causing Yihua's heart to itch once again. "Now that I think about it, that Tang Wushuang has 7 to 8 wives, and that Xiao Yi seems to have 5 to 6 wives as well." Yihua's tone seemed as if he was talking about a salted fish. Seeing that the expression on the 2 women's faces was a bit bad, Yihua said faintly, "The head of a family still has to bear the risk, and it is possible that one day, your corpse might end up lying on the streets. The entertainment circle is very chaotic. It is most suitable for you to be an ordinary person." This was also because Yihua was giving Qingya face that he spoke out to persuade Qingya to not get involved in his plans in the future. If that were to happen, Qingya would really die without a complete corpse. What Yihua said is right. Don't look at how those family heads appear to be extremely glorious on the surface. In reality, they are always on tenterhooks all day long. Have you heard of Ding family? Qingya said gravely. This could be counted as a warning to her old classmate. The 4 shook their heads. They had never heard of the Ding clan. Have you heard of aristocratic families? The 4 of them shook their heads again. Qingya said faintly, "Aristocratic families are above aristocratic families, and Ding family is one of the 5 aristocratic families. Today, Ding family was exterminated." The 4 of them were immediately stupefied. Right now, we haven't even figured out which aristocratic families are, and an existence that is even more formidable than the aristocratic families just jumped out and got exterminated. If that is the case, wouldn't the ordinary aristocratic families be even more miserable? Don't leak out this matter, if not, it will bring about unnecessary trouble. Qingya warned once again. The 4 hurriedly nodded their heads. Exterminated. I don't even dare to think about it. Qingya, your husband, he? Yunlan asked gravely. Qingya let out a light sigh. There are even stronger existences above aristocratic families. Yihua was injured during the battle with them. The 4 of them looked at Yihua dumbfoundedly. I originally thought that aristocratic families are already very formidable, but it turns out that there are still people above aristocratic families. And this man who is sitting on a wheelchair was actually able to fight with them and not die. From this, it can be seen just how terrifying his strength is. Towards this kind of warning, we definitely have to listen to it. The four of them could be seen standing up and saying to Yi Hua, "Thank you for telling us all these, we will never forget it in our lives." Yi Hua laughed bitterly in his heart. In the past, I specialized in killing people, and now, I am even advising people. There is nothing bad about being an ordinary person. At the very least, with your current conditions, you will be able to sit back and relax. Don't think about anything else. Yi Hua said lightly. From this, it could be seen that the change in Yi Hua was quite big. Perhaps, this is the power of love. Of course, this change wasn't complete. Yi Hua still didn't have a good impression of humans, but it was still much better than before. Hearing what Yi Hua said, the four of them silently nodded their heads. As for how they are going to choose, that will be their own matter. However, in the end, humans will never be satisfied with their current situation. They will want to climb as high as they can, even if it means that their bodies will be smashed into pieces. Perhaps, a few years later, Yi Hua will look at their corpses and say these words. After the meal, the four of them left. Yi Hua continued to bring his wife and children to play in the amusement park. "Qinya, come over. What's the matter? Do you want to pee?" "Hold it in, I will pee for you when we get back." "Yi Hua, tell me what mistake you made today, quickly admit your mistake." Yi Hua reprimanded with a stern look on his face. Dong Huang Baiji carried on to Dong Huang Li, who was sleeping soundly, and looked at Yi Hua with a smile on her face. "I don't know why, but I just like seeing Yi Hua reprimand people. Yi Hua's appearance is just like a child." Qinya was confused and mumbled, "I didn't do anything wrong today." "My lord, which part of me is not happy with you?" "I will change, okay? As my wife, other than me and our children, no one else can touch you." Qinya recalled, "Wasn't it just a girl holding my hand for a bit?" He was indeed the vinegar king of the cultivation world. Okay. I promise to obey my husband's request in the future." Yi Hua was very satisfied with this attitude of his. However, he still had to ask a few questions. "Qinya, in the future, if I meet a female classmate, how should I greet her?" Yi Hua asked gravely. Qinya was startled and said hurriedly, "Just smile." "Wrong. I can't even go and see my female classmates." Yi Hua raised his hand and smacked onto Qinya's little butt. Fortunately, no one saw it. Qinya pouted her small mouth, looking very lovely and pitiful. "What if I get angry in the future?" Yi Hua asked again. Qinya pondered for a moment, then said hesitantly, "I'm coaxing you." Yi Hua raised his hand and clapped, "Wrong. You shouldn't have made me angry in the first place." Dong Huang Baiji immediately noted down Yi Hua's question. If Yi Hua were to ask her about it in the future, she would be able to answer him. Qinya rubbed onto her but pitifully, "Yi Hua, you are bullying me again, I'm not going to play with you anymore." After finished speaking, Qinya pulled Dong Huang Baiji and left. Seeing that his wives had left, Yi Hua thought to himself, "I will teach them a lesson tonight and let them have a taste of my bone-melting soft palm." Yi Hua immediately spread open his hands and gathered a powerful force, then grabbed onto the tire and rolled forward. Chapter 271. In the dry Zen sect, all the corpses of the Ding family had disappeared, and the smooth limestone was untainted by even a speck of dust. No one would have thought that this place was once filled with rivers of blood. Inside the hall, His Honor, who was dressed in a gorgeous robe, was sitting on the throne above the stairs. His eerie bony fingers were pressed on the armrest, and his empty eye socket seemed to be staring at his 7 subordinates. "My patience has been worn out by foolish humans." His cold tone made the 7 subordinates tremble, and they immediately knelt down. "This subordinate has failed in his duty." A trembling voice rang out in the empty hall. His Honor slowly stood up. Since the humans don't dare to come, I shall exterminate them one by one. Yes. Greed, pick 3 targets first. His Honor said calmly. Upon hearing that someone had been killed, everyone from the 7 deadly sins became excited. Yes. Greedily, he took out a bunch of bamboo sticks with the names of various forces written on them. He placed them in the wooden box and shook them gently. Swoosh 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 sounds rang out in the main hall. The fate of all the forces was in the hands of this small bamboo stick. The first 3 sticks that fell out would definitely be the result of the annihilation of the entire clan. One of the small bamboo sticks gradually moved up, but it gave people the feeling that it didn't want to come out, but the other bamboo sticks wanted to squeeze it out. Clang! The bamboo lot fell to the ground. He picked it up and glanced at it greedily. Your Honor, the first target has appeared. Who? Southern G clan. Although they didn't know what kind of family it was, they didn't really care. It was fine as long as it was people. Greed continued to sway. Your Honor, the second target has appeared, the South Side's Traceless Pavilion. It continued to shake. Third target, Southern Cloud Martial School. Greed put away the bamboo stick. He still had to use it in the future. This kind of killing method was very exciting. His Honor said faintly, 1 per day, I want to enjoy the cries of the humans. Yes. This sentence meant that many people wouldn't die very quickly. The Dry Zen sect and the Ding family were considered lucky as they didn't suffer any pain. The 8 of them disappeared from the Dry Zen sect hall and headed for their first target, the Ji family. Right now, Yihua had brought his family back to Leisure Bar. The little fellow was already tired from playing and was currently sleeping in his mother's embrace. As for Qinya, she pushed Yihua and prepared to return to the bedroom. Wait a minute, what are Yizizi and the others doing? Yihua suddenly said. What else can they be doing, playing games? Qinya smiled tenderly. Arriving at Qin Yutong's bedroom, the 2 of them were not sitting beside the computer, rather, they were lying on the bed while holding onto their phone, and were engrossed in playing something. Strange, these 2 people actually didn't want to eat chicken. What are you doing? Yihua asked. Brother-in-law, don't speak, I am stealing a dragon with Zizi. Qin Yutong said cautiously, as if her words might be heard by the enemy. With her brows tightly wrinkled, Yizizi pouted her mouth and said, Big brother, Zizi has already knelt for so many times, what kind of game would cause Yizizi to lose? Yihua expressed that he was very curious, and indicated to Qinya to move forward a bit to take a look. However, as soon as he saw the screen, he saw the word failure. A childish voice sounded from the other side of the phone. Are you too stupid? Others have already pushed their way into our house, and you're still playing Dalong. Yizizi was not willing to accept this outcome, and she crazily rolled around on the bed, while Qin Yutong was actually quarreling with a primary school student. Yihua snorted coldly, just a lousy game is enough to make the 2 of you so flustered. Qinya, help me with the next one. Yihua, it's better not to play anymore and rest early. Qinya said attentively, her tone was extremely gentle. Yihua took out his phone and said faintly, hurry up and go down. Although I can't bring you guys to the chicken dinner, can't this small mobile game help you guys to win? Haha. Yizizi was already cheating, but she still couldn't take on 3 to 4 people ganging up on her. Yizizi was angered to the point that she wanted to suck them to death. Shameless humans only know how to use human wave tactics. Yutong, what game is it called? It's Kings of Glory. Brother-in-law, you better go and rest well, this game isn't simple. Yihua sneered, I like games that aren't simple. After the game was over, Qinya accompanied Yihua and watched by his side, while Yihua formed a party with his sister-in-law, Yizizi. Yihua chose Di Renjia, who looked rather handsome. Yutong, Zizi. Follow me. After entering the game, Yihua began giving out orders. Everything was within his grasp. The three walked to the middle lane, and Yihua said faintly, destroy the tower. Qing Yutong, Yi Zizi, brother-in-law, let's go to the bottom lane, I beg of you, big brother, why are you even worse than an elementary school student? Qingya laughed tenderly and gave a sweet kiss to Yihua, encouraging him. Looking at Qingya's kiss, I won't scold you guys. Yihua obediently walked down from the middle lane. Buddhist temple is really not good. Yihua looked at the screen that had turned black. There are actually 5 burly men hiding in the bushes, and they actually gang-killed me. Brother-in-law, I beg of you not to send me off. Big brother, don't be reckless. Yihua, seems like you can't do it. Qingya laughed tenderly. Chapter 272. Could he not die? The addition of Yihua had completely increased the difficulty of the game. Zizi, go scout the bushes. Cousin, I'm a sorcerer, and you're a meat shield. Yi Zizi was depressed. Yihua shouted out gravely, if I, the meat shield, were to die, who would help you guys deal damage? At that time, would you still have the chance to kill the enemies? There seemed to be nothing wrong with those words. Yutong, protect me. Yihua shouted out. Huang Zhong, who was in the game, could be seen gradually getting closer to Arthur and sticking close to him to protect him. The damage dealer can die, but the tank cannot die. It would be strange if he didn't lose for the whole night. Daddy, what are you two playing? Dong Huangli jumped onto the bed and asked curiously. So it's King of Glory. Ali is already a King of Glory. The three of them looked towards Dong Huangli at the same time. Their expressions seemed to be asking, is a Glory King powerful? The three of them were all matching, and they didn't even know what bronze was. Looking at his daughter's sweet smile, Yihua's mood became much better. Ali, is this Glory King powerful? Of course, top 100 in the entire server, little Ali, please carry me, Qing Yutong hurriedly said. Yi Zizi immediately hugged onto Dong Huangli. Ali, quickly help me win a round. Okay. I'll go ask Mama for her phone. However, 1 hour later, only then did Dong Huangli know what was meant by unable to carry along. So it turns out that Aunt Qing and Aunt Yi are such scammers, and the scammer of all is still Daddy. Seeing that I am being bullied, Daddy mindlessly rushed up to fight back. Although he is a scam, I really like Papa Yihua, who was currently playing a game, received Wei Chang's message. Your Honor, Xi family has been exterminated. Xi family? Never heard of it. Yihua was concentrating on playing the game. Actually, winning or losing wasn't important, the most important thing was to accompany his daughter. In actuality, subordinate has never heard of them either. However, according to the news that Sun Fang sent over, this group of people are extremely cruel and have the demeanor of his honor back then. There's such a thing. Let's keep it for now. Yes. I didn't expect that this group of people's style of doing things would be so similar to the Supreme Overlord style. While I feel that it's interesting, I also feel confused. Qingya and Dong Huang Baiji suddenly appeared, and their expressions were very solemn. Yihua knew that they definitely knew about the news as well. Yihua, I want to make a trip back to Voidless Realm. I will go there with Baiji, Qingya said. Yihua placed down his phone and asked gravely, where are you guys going? Dong Huang Baiji blinked her beautiful eyes, then said with a tender voice, I'm just going back to have a meeting. What about you? Yihua asked Qingya. Baiji said that she would teach me how to use the cultivation method. Yihua thought for a moment, then said gravely, if you two dare to not inform me and decide on your own, I will smack your butts until they swell. Daddy, you are so handsome, Dong Huangli raised up her thumb. Mommy is so obedient in front of Daddy, she is even more obedient than Dong Huangli. The two girls agreed with a smile. If you all leave, who will take care of me? Yihua asked this question that he was concerned about. Qingye took a look at Yizizi, then looked at her sister, Yutong. I will leave your brother-in-law to you. Ah! Qing Yutong cried out in surprise, and while looking at her brother-in-law, she shivered. After that, the two women left first. After Dong Huangli finished playing the game, Dong Huangli instantly left. Aunt Qing and Aunt Yi are both such scammers, and Daddy is the most scammer. It is better for me to go and watch cartoons. After his daughter left, Yihua said faintly, Yutong, aren't you going to help me change my clothes? Brother-in-law, stop pretending, big sister is not here anymore. Qing Yutong pouted her small mouth. I have already been tricked by you for the entire night, I beg you to let me off. Yihua immediately put on a stern look, you aren't even listening to my words. Quickly come over and lie down. Yizizi immediately shrunk into a corner. Brother-in-law, you, hurry up. I haven't taught you a lesson for a few days, and you've become very naughty. Actually, his hands were itching to spank her. Not to mention, spanking his sister-in-laws but was particularly stimulating. Qing Yutong looked towards Yizizi for help, and the latter immediately covered her head with the quilt. Brother-in-law, be gentle. Qing Yutong lied on Yihua's thigh, and her face was completely red. I'm going to be spanked by brother-in-law again, I'm so happy. The room was filled with a beautiful symphony. After a long time, Yihua sat on the wheelchair and came out, then went to the bedroom to sleep. Qing Yutong rubbed her buttocks, so painful so numb, big sister Qing, does it feel good? Yizizi stretched out her head and asked curiously. Good your head, I'm tired to death. Time to sleep. Qing Yutong said petulantly. Qing Yutong lied on the bed, not daring to lie down anymore. Masochist. Yizizi muttered, then went to sleep as well. However, while the few of them were sleeping, the entire cultivation world was in a mess. Everyone was in danger and panicking. Everyone wrote a joint letter to the aristocratic families, and the aristocratic families were suffering unspeakably. A bunch of family heads and sect heads were surrounding the doors of their houses, asking for an explanation. These few aristocratic families are the sons of turtles. After something happened, they all shrunk into a corner. One of the family heads was indignant. After paying so much money to the aristocratic families every year, and now, during the crucial moment, all of them are hiding, not caring about anything at all. It has only been a few days. Dry Zen sect has been exterminated, Ding family is finished, and Ji family is also finished. I heard that right now, there are still blood-curdling screams coming out from Ji family. This won't do, we must definitely get the aristocratic families to go out. They have ancient godly items, if they don't dare to go out, then hand over the ancient godly item. Hand over the ancient godly item, you all are not worthy to possess it. Hand over the ancient godly item, you all are not worthy to possess it. Hand over the ancient godly item, you all are not worthy to possess it. Shouts rang out from outside. And the four aristocratic families' family heads that are sitting inside are also in a difficult situation. The big shots above are not willing to go out, so what's the use of us going out? Aren't we just throwing away our lives? They are heartless, so we don't need to be loyal anymore. Diao Lang stood up and directly walked out. The other three also followed closely behind. It is not that we don't want to interfere, but rather, we don't have the strength to interfere at all. Diao Lang stood in the air and shouted towards the few hundred people, various family heads, various colleagues, various brothers and sisters. Everyone, don't panic. Colleagues, your sister, quickly go and kill that group of people. The people below didn't give him any face at all and started scolding. When have aristocratic families ever been scolded before? But in this kind of situation, they are the ones being scolded. Marshal Saint's temper isn't good, and he shouted out explosively, "All of you shut up." As expected, only martial power can suppress them. Diao Lang sighed lightly, "Everyone, we have already reported this matter, but the big shots are basically avoiding us. We have no choice. How is this possible? The responsibility of the big shots is to stabilize the south. You are definitely lying." Immediately, the people below became as noisy as a market. All of them are overlords of a region, yet right now, they are acting like hawkers. In family and voidless realm strength suffered greatly from the battle, and they didn't agree to help us. And now, G family is refusing to meet us, and we are suffering too. Diao Lang shouted out loudly. His heart was filled with helplessness. If you all want to look for those big shots, what's the use of looking for us? You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.